Sias Mary agus fáilte roimh go baile á trim, agus an lockdown nua seo iver a chuige. Welcome to number 50 of our lockdowns. It's nothing special, it's just the usual wonderful collection of songs and music and poetry from Matt Gilson and myself and a special guest or two. I hope you've all had a good week, and I hope you will enjoy this lockdown. So sit back and take it easy. I'm going to start this week with a poem. It's I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud by William Wordsworth, often called the Daffodils. This was written in the very early 1800s when Wordsworth was living in the Lake District in Grasmere, and it came about as a result of a walk he took with his sister Dorothy along the edge of the Lake Ullswater in the Lake District. And Dorothy kept a journal, and she wrote an account of this walk and especially of the daffodils they saw. She wrote, "There was a long belt of them along the shore, about the breadth of a country turnpike road. I never saw daffodils so beautiful. Some rested their heads upon the stones as on a pillow for weariness, and the rest tossed and reeled and danced and seemed as if they laughed with the wind that blew upon them over the lake." Wordsworth used this diary entry to write this poem. I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud by William Wordsworth. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margins of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon the inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills, and dances with the daffodils. Over to you, Matt.
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're all keeping very well. It's a beautiful afternoon here in Trim, County Meath. Once upon a time, fairy story of sorts, yes. Once upon a time, there worked in my aunt and uncle's shop in East Road, Dublin, a young girl called Jean. And apparently she fell upon some of the M&M series that I've been doing on YouTube and inquired if that was the same Matt Gilson that used to sing The Moon Behind the Hill. Well, Jean, it is the same Matt Gilson and you're the same Jean. And I haven't sung The Moon Behind the Hill since I was fresh out of short pants. And now, as people might have observed, my breath is the only thing that comes in short pants. So anyway, I looked it up and with the help of technology and a few things, I think I'll be able to give it a lash. If we get this thing going. Yeah, sure, we'll see what happens. The Moon Behind the Hill. I watched last night the rising moon upon a foreign strand, till memories came like flowers of June, of home and fatherland. I dreamt I was a child once more, beside the rippling rill, when first I saw in days of yore the moon behind the hill. It brought me back the visions grand that purpled boyhood's dreams. The youthful loves its happy land, as bright as morning beams. It brought me back my own sweet Nore, the castle and the mill, until my eyes could see no more the moon behind the hill. It brought me back a mother's love, until in accents wild I prayed her from her home above to guard her lonely child. It brought me once across the wave to live in memory still. It brought me back my Mary's grave, the moon behind the hill. Now, Jean, I hope you enjoyed that revitalized version of The Moon Behind the Hill. And stay safe, girl. Stay safe, and all of you.
There is another reasonably well-known poem about daffodils that many of us learned in school as well. This is an older poem than Wordsworth's. It's almost 200 years old. It was written by Robert Herrick, who died in 1674. He was an English lyric poet and a clergyman. He is said to have written over 2,500 poems, but this is probably his best known one. And this is a little sadder than Wordsworth's, and it laments the fact that daffodils last for only a short time. To Daffodils by Robert Herrick. Fair daffodils, we weep to see you haste away so soon. As yet the early rising sun has not attained its noon. Stay, stay until the hasting day has run but to the evensong, and having prayed together, we will go with you along. We have short time to stay as you, we have as short a spring, as quick a growth to meet decay as you or anything. We die as your hours do and dry away like to the summer's rain, or as the pearls of morning's dew, ne'er to be found again. Now I'm delighted to welcome back a special guest, Francis Duffy, a long-standing friend of Matt's from Navan. Francis is a cornet player, a lifelong member of Navan's Silver Band, and he's also played in Navan's Swing Band and has won many competitions. Here he is playing the very famous Neapolitan song, O Sole Mio. Off you go, Francis. This poem of mine was written in response to a well-known photograph of boys playing on barrels in Castlebar, County Mayo in 1952. And when I came to write the poem, I imagined that two of the boys were brothers. One of them had stayed at home and done reasonably well. The other had gone to England and spent a lonely life labouring there. The third was a friend who now was in a wheelchair. Boys at Play on Barrels, Castlebar, 1952. When we found him in the bedsit in Northampton, he had drunk the barrels dry, but his smile was the same as in that photo we kept on the parlour mantelpiece. We searched the cold room, found the Western people with Dad's obituary, a bag of empty porter bottles, Mother's memorial card, a picture of the Sacred Heart. We flew him home. They wheeled Jack Flynn, the other barrel dancer, up the church. He smiled at the photo, touched the coffin. Well made. Oak, he said, tight and secure, like the barrels. And we end this week with more daffodils. We're going to have a look at some of the lovely daffodils that are growing at the moment around about Trim. And while we're looking at that, we're going to listen to a song from Matt and his late singing partner Michael Megan from their CD Ballads at Ballinter. The song is The Spinning Wheel. So until we see you again next week, take care and God bless.
Mellow, the moonlight, the shine is beginning. Close by the window, young Eileen is spinning. And o'er the fire, her blind grandmother sitting, groaning and moaning and drowsily knitting. Merrily, cheerily, noiselessly whirring, swings the wheel, spins the wheel, while the foot stirring, brightly and lightly and airily ringing, thrills the sweet voice of a young maiden singing. Eileen O'Cara, I hear someone tapping. 'Tis the ivy, dear mother, against the glass flapping. Eileen, I surely hear somebody sighing. 'Tis the sound, mother dear, of the autumn winds dying. Merrily, cheerily, noiselessly whirring, swings the wheel, spins the wheel, while the foot stirring, brightly and lightly and airily ringing, thrills the sweet voice of a young maiden singing. There's a form at the casement, the form of her true love, and he whispers with face bent, I'm waiting for you, love. Get up on the stool, through the lattice, step lightly, and we'll rove in the grove, while the moon's shining brightly. Merrily, cheerily, noiselessly whirring, swings the wheel, spins the wheel, while the foot stirring, brightly and lightly and airily ringing, the young maiden singing. Slower and slower and slower the wheel spins, lower and lower and lower the reel rings, ere the reel and the wheel stop their spinning and moving through the grove, the young lovers by moonlight